Welcome to the Geeklist Hack for Good in Toronto. This is Yannick speaking on behalf of Ruben Katz because we had some audio issues. Could the room quiet down, please, over here? We are live. Okay. Welcome to the Geeklist Hack for Good in Toronto. We are one of over 35 cities hacking for a better climate this weekend, from Melbourne to Moscow, London to San Francisco. We have united. All right, get us. He wants me to switch the cameras. Sure, got to do multiple things at once. Yeah. Welcome to the Geeklist Hack for Good in Toronto. This is Yannick speaking on behalf of Ruben Katz. We have united with the world-leading NGOs to bridge the gap between what is known by NGOs to be needed and technologists that can build it. Thank you for uniting with us to hack a better climate, and let's see some projects. London to San Francisco, we have united. Switch the cameras. Yeah, got to do multiple things at once. Yeah. Welcome to the Geeklist Hack for Good in Toronto. So who's going to be the first presenter? On behalf of Ruben Katz. We have united with the world-leading NGOs to bridge the gap between what is known by NGOs, needed, and technologists. Andrew, do you want to call up the first presenter? Thank you for uniting with us to hack a better climate, and let's see some projects. London to San Francisco. Yeah. This is the mic. Bring your laptop over on this side. Welcome to the Geeklist Hack for Good in Toronto. So who's going to be the first presenter? On behalf of Ruben Katz. We have united with the world-leading NGOs. You're going to want to keep it muted. What is known by NGOs, needed, and technology. Andrew, do you want to call up? And then you can bring up whatever you want on your screen there. The microphone is here. So don't listen to the earpiece, that'll confuse you. Just hang that around your ear.
Just like this. Yeah. Okay. So I'm guessing everybody can hear me by now? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry about that.
Bring your laptop over.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you can let me know when I can start. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we're live basically. Yeah. Hello everyone. My name's Raghu. Basically I'm just going to be representing my team, Green Action, and I'm going to be showing you our project that we did for Hack for Good over the weekend, which we also aptly named Green Action. Okay, so basically the challenge that we actually wanted to tackle for Hack for Good and for go against climate change was basically to just get individuals be more proactive and actually just make small little lifestyle adjustments that end up being actually beneficial to the environment. And some of these lifestyle changes can actually be trying to take the bus or try to take the public transportation, try to do your laundry instead on off-peak hours. And just basically these are small little sacrifices that people might have to make, but we know that there are people out there that actually do make these kind of changes, right? And we wanted a way to basically get them to just share this kind of thing and invite other people that might not actually be doing this kind of these little lifestyle adjustments, right? And so basically the purpose of our application is just to incentivize people to make small adjustments to their lives, and just to be more concerned about the environment, do your laundry, adopt practices that are actually that are green, and be able to actually share this and get their friends, get their family, get the people that they know onto this. Let others know that what their small sacrifices that they're actually making, right? And we were actually trying to give them a little achievements and little awards basically for every little change that they make and that they're able to continue over a period of time. So let me just go ahead and log into our page. Small adjustments to their lives, and there we go. And so basically, we're just basically gonna get the users just sign in, and they'll basically be taken to their homepage. And below here, you can basically see a list of actions. We call this basically green actions, and these are actually actions or just small changes that you can actually adopt in your day-to-day routine that actually can make some surprisingly dramatic difference in terms of like reducing your carbon footprint and generally being just beneficial to the environment. And basically, the user also has like a profile page, and if he goes to his profile page, he's actually able to see like some of his friends that are there. As you can see, we have like some rather notable friends for this user.
Sorry,
Yep.
hang on. Just realized
Oh, okay. Okay, so small technical issues that actually can make some surprisingly dramatic difference in terms of like reducing your carbon footprint and generally being just beneficial to the environment. Okay, so yeah, so basically this is your friends section. You're able to basically see your friend's profile and see like what are their most recent achievements. And this is basically the and so basically here's your achievement page. Basically, if you're able to take on a green action, basically a green action again is just beneficial, small little lifestyle changes that benefit the environment. You're actually able, and if you're able to actually just continue this kind of behavior over a course of period, like maybe 1 week or 1 month, you're actually able to get these little small achievements that you can actually then share out to your like a social network, and also to let your the friends and the people you know. And this is again like just small little incentives that we give out to people that are willing to make these small sacrifices. And again, it's just to get more people to know that you as an individual is actually taking putting the effort into like sharing about the environment and changing some of your just small little behavioral changes in your life. And so let's go back actually to the actions page. Basically, you can also see like basically once we start getting more users onto the page, we'll actually see a top ranked users. This is again another incentive basically to get people the ones that are really concerned about the environment, that are really making like considerable amount of changes on their personal basis, to be just like be shown here on the main page, so that everybody that's just logged into the Connect can see these individuals. And this is again like another incentive of getting people to start adopting these little green actions, right? And the green actions, like they're also ranked as well. And as you can sort of see right here, we have the CO2 reduction kind of thing. This is basically just to show like we actually adopt this kind of behavioral change. It actually is able to reduce your carbon footprint by a certain percentage or index value, basically. And this is again, we're using this from the data that we're given for us for Hack for Good. And we also have basically this is data that's been taken from on different countries. So basically, this allows these users from different countries to actually log into the site, start sharing this information. And each country has actually like different averages in terms of like what the average person carbon footprint is, kind of thing. And like this basically like showed like reduce the well, it was a feature that we wanted to implement, but we weren't actually able to get done easily. It'll just sort of show you like if you actually adopt these sets of changes, you can actually reduce the average person's carbon footprint by this much. And yeah, so that's basically what we were trying to accomplish. We also ran into like several technical issues, which I guess is totally natural in a hackathon, given the limited amount of time. But we were more or less able to implement some of the ideas that we had, and I hope you guys actually enjoyed the presentation. Showed like reduce the well, it was a feature that we wanted to implement. Just to show you, like, if you actually adopt the yep. So I guess the question curious. The average person's
you don't keep your bed close to the microphone there.
And yeah, so that was good setting. We were accomplish. We also ran. Oh, all right. Okay. Yep. So.
I think what we're going to do is we're going to go on to the next presentation.
Oh, okay.
If you want to stick around after the presentations, we're going to have a chat with the judges all together.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Right. Yeah. Thanks again, guys.
Okay, we're going to go on to the next presentation. You can just unplug that. Yeah. Right. Whoop. There. Okay, your PCs. You're going to need HDMI cable.
Yeah, we take it. Okay, is there any? Are we fixed with one person talking?
And let me make sure that the screen is still shared.
That's
Right, that's coming up. Where's your cursor?
I have to
Use
use mouse.
All right. Okay, so where's the Google? I don't know how to use this interface.
So
Sure, bring me back to Google Hangout. It ended because connection was lost. Try to reload.
Okay.
I'm going to show you the screen again. Okay. And this is your microphone. Sorry that it's tethered like that.
All right.
The microphone's in here.
Microphone. Oh, microphone. That's the microphone. All right. Okay. So, which way do I face?
And your screen is no longer shared here.
Whoops.
Is it?
Oh.
Oh no, wait, it is. Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, got it.
All right. I'm trying to figure out which way to face.
You face the room.
Face the room. Okay.
That's the computer that's recording.
Ah. All right. So that's where the feedback is. All right.
Whenever you're ready.
All right. Okay.
Quiet in the room, please.
My name's Jim Rutham. And
I'm David.
right. We kind of got the project we picked was presented by Yannick. He had a problem of solving electricity markets, in particular the spot markets. It turns out that because the fossil fuel plants and have high hourly operating costs, but if they're actually producing power, but the green plants are basically fixed cost no matter how much power they produce. If you just dump them both into a spot market, you have terrible effects. And like like you have things like negative prices being bid, and the amount of money that goes into electricity just doesn't support the maintenance on things, and it's just a broken market. The theory is that like the hope is, or the plan or whatever, is that there might be some magic market construction that would actually function. But the problem is you don't want to like go out and actually implement that somewhere. You see, oh well, maybe we can try this, and like, and then you build all these plants and you spend all this money and it doesn't work, and oops, like. So the idea, our scheme was, instead of trying to find a closed form solution to what is essentially a mathematical problem, we would build a framework
for building models. So this is a framework for building what-if models about electrical markets. The scheme is that, you know, like you would actually write a bit of code that would describe the market, and then you'd run, you know, like with various input data sets, either randomly generated or from historical databases or whatever. You could run and see how things worked. And you know, like it's a lot cheaper to do that on a computer than it is to do it in the real world. The target market for this would actually be groups that are intervening in electrical rate regulation situations. The regulator, you know, like, would be able to go and make an argument in front of the regulators about how the market ought to work, and we can demonstrate with this model that it really works thus and so. You know, like, or if people are making other arguments, you know, so if other people are proposing things and you don't think they're going to work, you have actually some real evidence about how it would function in that. Let's see. Do we have?
I can bring it up.
All right. We got to the point of being able to construct a simple market. This was a pipe laying project. There is no fancy outputs or fancy inputs. You know, like the inputs are actual code, and I'm hoping to show you this would be what somebody would write if they wanted to, you know, like there'd be a library of possible inputs and electrical types, market types, and somebody would write a piece of code that looks like this, and then they could run the experiment with that. The theory is in the future that this would not be necessary to write this code. There'd be some table. You could generate this code from a table, so that life, you know, so that it could be usable by people other than complete Python geeks, which we thought might be a useful thing. The other thing is that right now, if you could display the database. Right now, the output is going just into a database, so it's like really dull and boring numbers. And one of the other obvious things to do would be to feed that into graphical display mechanisms. As I said, the target market is interveners to electrical works. Yannick and I have committed to spending, my description was tens of hours in a small number of months to extend this to the point where it would actually be functional, so we could actually deliver it to those organizations, and things would, with luck, actually improve. Thank you. All right.
I just want to make sure that I understood. Sounds like what you figured out to solve the problem of the different markets around energy, so that a consumer or some entity, even Ultra, could actually take advantage of all of these things and deliver a consistent price.
Well, look, I would not say that we've solved the problem. Whoops, sorry. What we are building is a framework to test solutions, so that you could create. Okay, we want to construct a market that behaves like this. Well, the classic really spot market is because the classic spot market is the regulator says, okay, we need 10 gigawatts. Somebody says, okay, I'll give you 3 gigawatts at 7 cents, and somebody else says, I'll give you 5 gigawatts at 10, at 8 cents, and you just keep buying the lowest price power until you've got enough, right? But it turns out that there are horrible problems with that model. because the people with fixed costs bid below their actual costs, because if they got high fixed costs, they got to run anyway, and they will wind up losing less money. So it creates a market where people just like sort of are losing money slowly rather than rather than some people going bust immediately. Anyway, so that's one of the market failures, right? So the idea is to be able to construct theoretical markets to see if there is one that doesn't have market failures. It is entirely possible that there aren't any, and that the best solution is just to publicly own power generation. Is there a question back?
Are you using theoretical prices,
Hmm?
Are you using theoretical prices as your input?
Well, actually, the inputs and models are at this point are fairly theoretical. It is entirely possible that you could take real data and massage it and connect it to this framework and actually run a market with something that looks like real data. Clearly, you can. The idea is it will support. It is designed to say what if things happen this way. So in that sense, you're pretty much forced into making things up, because what you're trying to test doesn't exist.
So like what if you're paying the actual cost for the traditional electricity?
Right, like you just say you're paying particular costs. Yeah, there's all kinds of different ways you could conceivably run a market, and the theory is that this will be sufficiently flexible that you could run any. The idea would be, if you can dream up a market, we can run a simulation of it. That's the plan. I'm sure that somebody could dream up a market too complicated for it, but.
Does anyone have any more questions? Because I'd like to kind of save the discussion about the projects to after the presentation. That's okay? Cool. Oh, okay, cool. So thanks, Jim.
All right. Want this for the next guy?
Yeah, we're going to say I think it's an apple again. No, it's yeah, that's right. Maybe one table for these guys?
Sure, Jack.
Yeah. We're going to want to turn on some lights.
Oh, yes. They were, I mentioned
Your microphone's over here, unfortunately.
So he has to
We can.
he's the one who's presenting.
What? Who's presenting? There you go. So you speak into this thing.
Okay.
You want to hand it? No, speak on this. How are you going to point it then?
Well, I'm just doing this. So.
Point to this?
Yeah.
Can you put it inside?
look like this.
That's good.
We can't move too much, remember.
Yep. Let's go. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. My name is Lucy, and I go to kindergarten. My name is Atash, and I go to grade 3. So, we all came here for the climate change hackathon. So you adults have destroyed the atmosphere a lot. So we kids have to stop it so we don't get to the tipping point. A lot of people may ask us to do big things, but we prefer to start with small things. And small things start from home. Our project. So, our project name is Climate Selfie. So, Climate Selfie means that you're not waiting for someone else to do an invention to stop it. You are going to do an invention. So, our project is to make our condo buildings in Toronto energy efficient. Efficient in the meaning not using the electricity nicely, but also producing a little bit of electricity. So, we can put windmills and solar panels on the top of the buildings. Like in our house here, we have put a solar panel to generate electricity from the sun. We're also using a windmill. So, we made a windmill by taking a paper, cutting it into like an X, and then we put the magnets on, and also we shaped it, and here we are. So, the way it's producing electricity is the magnets inside a windmill are rotating around a coil here, and that generates electricity in the coil. And we're also using a Peltier chip. So, if you cool one side and heat the other side, then it'll produce electricity. So now that we can create electricity, we have to store it too. So the way we're storing it is we're using capacitors and 2 rechargeable batteries and to store it. So now once we have stored the electricity, we can do a smart use. So the first use we are doing it for is for so if someone enters the house, someone enters the house, then that means that the light will glow, and in 10 seconds it'll go off if you're not in the house. The second thing we're using it for is a fan. So it's connected to a temperature sensor so that when it's hot enough at a certain level, it's going to turn on. This fan is just put here so you can see it very properly, but in time, and you can also see the data coming from the temperature sensor. Yeah. So now there's also another use. So you don't need to go to faraway malls to buy your food. Instead, all you have to do is grow your food. We are watering the plants by drip irrigation. So So we're watering the plants. So there is a water motor, which is sucking up the water and throwing it into the straw, which is coming down on the plants. So that is our vision of climate selfie.
And apart from that, for us, the reason behind why we did this project was we find it very inefficient that in Toronto there are so many condos building all over, and there are 134 new condo buildings coming up. We don't see why condo buildings have to be seen as energy guzzlers. It's a way of thinking that you have a big infrastructure out there. In fact, we see condos as energy creators, so much so that they are powerhouses where people stay there, rather than places where people end up consuming energy. So in our view, we look at we look at anyway, so that we said there are 100 new condo buildings coming up. So if you are able to create something like this, even with, even if some of the buildings are able to create this technology, we see they're going to be saving of 150 kilowatt hour per meter square per year. Because after all, on the top of the buildings, we see TV antennas, mobile antennas, and why don't we see windmills there? There's no reason why we are not having windmills up there. At the same time, solar panels, the cost is coming down a lot. We put blinds when there's a lot of sun coming in our house, we put blinds there. So one of the things we wanted to do on the back side of the blinds, why can't we put solar reflectors or convert it into a solar panel? So instead of putting blinds down to just shut out the energy coming in, we convert that energy and put it in there. So we are also envisaging a smart metering, basically. That is one of the things which we wanted to do next was, so that we are not just built based on how much energy we have consumed, but we are also built on how much energy we have produced in that house. So in a sense, that is our vision for climate selfie. I can show it to you.
Thank you. What I was actually thinking is we would get the participants to come up and maybe just sit in a row, and we could have like a discussion where the judges could ask questions, and like maybe we could talk a little bit about the projects. If people are interested in that, would you guys be interested?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So is that cool with you guys? Okay, so why don't the three teams come up just for a bit? We'll get some chairs set up here. Maybe for 5 or 10 minutes, we'll have a little conversation about the projects, and we'll see where it goes. Okay.
Okay. Some kind of a round table you want?
Yeah, we'll just have the chairs on the top. Yeah.
Okay, so.
So. Oh.
So. Logistically. How should we do this?
This will just pick up the other. That's the chair. Get us done.
Great. Thank you all for participating. Appreciate it. So basically, if any judges have any questions for participants, what we have, ask them that. Now would be a great time to do it.
I just was like very interested in what actually motivating you like to do this. Like I guess that like, do you act like obviously in all the projects like there's some solutions that can be pursued through technology. So you see that there's these gaps, and yeah, each one of you did these interesting presentations, but it's almost as though it amazes me that these straightforward ideas that you have, to some degree, have not really. It's here now, but this is 2014. This is 2000, right? So what do you think is kind of going on that we're at this stage where these core ideas that you're all bringing are things that really haven't been figured out yet?
So who's your question for?
All of them. I just thought I'd just throw it out.
Okay. Well, in the interest of time, let's try to keep the questions focused to the projects, and not get too broad focused. So, you have a question?
Similar in the sense of it's to each team, but I would like to know, where would you like to see your project go next?
Okay, great.
What do you want to see happen with your project?
Well, sure. Why don't we start with that? Where would you like to take your project?
So, I want to take my project so that all the buildings have like the same thing, so they can produce a bit of electricity. So on the buildings.
And also, I think we were talking about going into the schools, because at the end of the day, we are the ones who are polluting, and after 20, 25 years, the next generation is the one who has to make a super impact on the climate. So it's important to tell at the school level. I mean, that's what our thing is, to tell at the school level if they can make people producers of energy, not just consumers of energy. So that is our goal, to make people producers of energy, even if it's micro level, but it's going to make a big impact on consumer behaviors and how do they appreciate how energy is coming back to their homes.
Now, what were you guys?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, basically, like, for us, I think it's really just developing like a much better, more stable backend, probably, because like we just sort of like relied a lot on Ruby to sort of like do a lot of things for us, kind of thing. And whenever, like, the common problem, I guess, like, whenever you try to like do something a bit more different, like away from like the framework, what the framework wants you to do, we ran into like issues as much. So we probably wanted. Oh, should I speak up? Oh, okay, yeah, sorry about that. So like, what we really wanted to do, we wanted to build like a backend that sort of it's more flexible, allows us to do a lot more more specialized things that we kind of want that just like that we weren't able to accomplish through Ruby. And just tidy up our front end. I mean, like, we definitely need a designer on board, and just improve the interactivity a lot, and responsiveness definitely. And and maybe like just we weren't able to apply like all the ideas that we kind of had that our team came up with, obviously, because like one of the important things in the hackathon is just to like focus on a few key goals to achieve for the weekend. So yeah, maybe like looking forward, we'd probably maybe like add a more of like a mobile features to it, like hopefully.
Awesome, thanks. And you guys?
Well, we actually already talked about that. Like our obvious target. Like we have we would like to get this into the hands of people in front of electricity regulators.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And so I guess I'm just going to ask one more question, and then we'll wrap it up because we can get to judging pretty soon. So basically, my question is like, what would you need most right now to make your project successful?
Time.
Just time. Yeah. And you?
I think from technical point of view, we need to have more R&D on microenergies, because most of the tools and technology which we see on the market are for fossil fuels based things like transformers. When you're talking about solar energy, we don't need transformers basically. We need like transistors which work on 1.2 volts. Impossible to find 1.2 volts running transistors in the whole Toronto market, basically. So, I mean, one of them is a technical problem that if you want to make solutions on this, it's a good challenge. Maybe Mars, institute here or other, have an R&D which can focus on technological challenges. The other is definitely the governmental incentives, for example. I think we are too much in the hands of the big corporates who see benefits in perpetuating fossil-based energies. Like what Artash asked day before yesterday is how Canada is producing so much of renewable energy, but still we are one of the biggest polluters. So there is some discord between how can we have so much of renewable energy and still we are moving out of Kyoto Protocol. I mean, we should be leaders. I mean, Canada should be a leader in this kind of a thing. So I see a lack of government incentives or mindsets. Probably we need to change that so that the younger generation understands that we don't have to look down. The whole problem of climate change arises is because we started to look down inside the earth for fossil fuel. Whereas in the older tradition there always was sun worship. We always used to look up at the sun and say thank you, sun. So if you had started looking back onto the sun and say thank you, sun, we would have always started with solar energy and not get caught up in the fossil fuel. So this is an anomaly which we have in between. There's no reason to have fossil fuel. It was always a solar energy.
Thank you. And finally, you guys.
Probably the biggest, the most useful thing would, for us, for me at this point, I think, is a connection to people who are interveners. Like the people who would actually use it, because like that's who we want to deliver it to, and we're not sure who they are. And B, you need to actually deal with the people who are going to use things in order to build it correctly. You just can't. Otherwise, you're just guessing, and there are just way too many different things you're ever going to get guessed right.
And you had a question?
Yeah, sure. I have one for green action and the second one for the spot market team. So I'll start with the green action guys. So I think that the space of using technology and data to do behavioral change, where that behavior change is the world, I think it's a really interesting space. A few companies that are doing it in pretty big ways right now. So you have a group like Power, who helps measure your electricity usage within the home, but then what they do is they compare how you're consuming electricity versus, say, your neighbors in your neighborhood. It's pretty neat. It's the level of competition, as people probably understand. And you have another group in New York, it's called the Cycle Bank, and they're kind of fighting not electricity, but how to use or incentivizing people to change the behavior with respect to recycling goods by using points, and you can use those points and more, and you gather more, and you can use the coupons and rewards. So they have kind of like a reward basis. So I kind of like pose it out as for the technology that you're working on, the code that you're working on, and behaviors you're trying to change here. It's kind of like, where do you see your fun factor? How do you make it kind of study your technology in your program so that, and what ideas you have, so that it's actually fun. It makes, say myself as a user, want to actually do this. And I know you spoke a little bit about having a point system, kind of like the reward and ranking systems, but if maybe you go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I mean, like that was just like one aspect of like incentivizing people to just adopt these kind of behavioral changes. The other one was like we sort of wanted to get it in a sense like they just like we get them to like make these little pledges that they can invite other people into it, And so basically we sort of want to get like kind of a group mentality going. So basically when everybody sort of wants to accomplish this pledge, just get it done within that time frame that they set for themselves. If they do it in a group fashion, they're more likely to see it through, right? Because like
something like ice bucket challenge, maybe where you challenge somebody else, and that person will challenge somebody else, and you get this circle of people doing something good.
Yeah, and we also have like a form feature where basically users can actually enter in like little habitual changes that they make in their lives, and some of these can actually be fairly wacky, but they actually do make like a small difference in terms of like reducing their carbon footprint, right? And it's actually kind of rather fun, like for like if it's not something that you might have thought of, right? Like, hey, I can actually do that as well, and I can actually make that change, and it actually like if more people, like this many number of people can actually do that, it actually makes a very sizable difference.
Okay, so you had a question?
I have a question, and I don't know, do you want suggestions to contact at this point, or no?
Sorry, what?
Do you want suggestions for people to contact at this point?
Can you, maybe you can give that to me afterwards, and I'll connect people up to that.
So just a quick technical question on the green action tool. I noticed that on the fields that were displayed, you said consequence of an action not taken. Was that a typical baseline you were using? I know it's still in development, but could you just determine your baseline?
Oh, you mean like basically what's like the smallest little behavioral change that you can adopt, kind of thing?
Yeah.
We actually tried to do like a bit of research to like with the data that we had. Like one of our teammates, Hector, actually did just went through the data to see if we can like somehow figure out like if these changes can actually be like if we can actually find a measurable way of like measuring the reduction in terms of CO2 emission, and also just to see like if we can actually just put into perspective how much of a reduction they can do in terms of their carbon footprint, right? And really, in the end, we sort of had like a small index, but the data, we just didn't have the quality of the data just wasn't enough. Like it was mostly focused on like industries and things like beyond just more domestic, but things that pertain towards the individual, right? So it's like we just sort of had to like just do research outside of this and just gather some information from other articles and such that's on the web, and that's sort of like where we sort of set up the baselines for now. But if we were able to like do a bit more research onto it, I think we probably would have been able to find better data that could have actually helped us find a more accurate baseline.
Okay. So maybe like one more question from anyone? No?
Sure. You guys, the energy market thing. So what does it take as input?
Actually, completely in general, it's whatever you can think of. Like the idea is that it's a framework, and what we're building right now is basically theoretical models, so essentially random numbers, or just arbitrary selected numbers. It's entirely possible that you could connect, you could connect that to electricity grid data, weather data. It's connectable to just about whatever. Well, all right. A slight constraint. It's probably connectable to anything that's available on the web.
Okay. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Take the time to ask a few questions, but if you could, and we're good. The judges are we're gonna chat now, and we'll come up with a decision, and I'll let you guys know, I guess. If you want to stick around, you can hear the decision, but if you need to go, I understand. And thank you. Yeah. Yes.
The survey is in the channel.
Right. Yeah, I'll be sending. Okay. So yes, excellent point. We have a plethora of food from yesterday, really good Chinese food, and it's going to go to waste because we can't eat it all and we can't give it to shelters. So
please take as much as you can, and this is to everyone. Like, take it home. It's great food. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just you can't eat it all. So yeah, there's that. And we will have a survey, which we'll be sending out to pretty much everyone who participated afterwards. So if you could fill that out, it only takes a couple minutes. It'd be really helpful because we want to organize another one of these, and we'd like to make it even better next time. So if you can offer any feedback, that would be really amazing.
Andrew, the link is already in the Toronto Hip Chat.
Okay.
If anyone wants to do it now.
Thank you. It is in the Hip Chat room, but I will also be sending it out because not everyone is in the Hip Chat. Great. Okay, guys, thanks.
Thank you.
I will not be looking at that video. That video broadcast says.
Well, I mean, like we were like yanking like a headphone and.
Yeah, I